Y'all know what it is. Y'all know how we do it. You back with another edition of the Outlaw Show. Man, we got y'all. We got something special for y'all. FX is calling it their top-rated, non-scripted debut of a series in their history. If you haven't heard about it, I don't know where you've been. The only excuse you could possibly have is maybe being locked up. I don't know, but they got TVs in jail. They got cell phones in jail. It's on Hulu. It's on FX. Dear Mama is the name of the series. Brought to you by Alan Hughes, sitting next to me right now, ladies and gentlemen. He's in the building, along with Amaro Entertainment and some other people who going to get paid very well from this shit because it's doing great. Alan Hughes is in the building.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm super happy to be here.
Thank you.
I'd have did a longer intro, but he got in-laws in town. We got 50 minutes of recording space, so we got to keep it moving. Y'all heard the name before. Y'all know what he's responsible for. Classic movies. How many people told you not to do Dear Mama when you told them you were doing it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm glad we started with that because it wasn't so much people telling me not to do it as I didn't want to do it because I had seen, and I'm not big on social media, but every now and then I'll see a rabid fan. They go, ain't that the motherfucker that he beat up? Fuck him. Tupac would have never. I go, wow, he got real hardcore fans, right? And
this is true.
And that was a problem for me. That was a problem. That was a problem for me. But I was thinking about it like, in my life, I've always been the one that goes, let me take the bullets as long as I can bring about like understanding and like if there's a opportunity for healing. I didn't used to use that word, but now that I'm 50, I can say shit like that.
Absolutely. We can all say it, because it's true.
It is. And I look on social media now because they send stuff to me and now I'm on it. I'm like, even some of those hardcore people, now that they've seen a few episodes, they see my heart's in the right place. And what would I look like, spending 4 years of my life to get a cheap shot at Tupac? And it was a year, I didn't know him as well as you did, clearly, but there was a whole intense friendship for a year. And it was 5 minutes of violence. Mm-hmm. And he publicly apologized later in interviews and in Vibe. And unfortunately, we never got to do the thing in person. 100%. But how would anyone, like, I can't imagine that anyone would take this on and have malice or hate in their heart, because it would only hurt the individual doing that.
Facts. Yeah, and something you just said just got me like, what if you guys had a chance to the magic y'all could have made together? You know what I mean?
You know what's funny about that? I haven't told people this part of the story. He broke my heart one time, and it wasn't the violent part thing. I went to go see him in Lowe's when he was doing pre-production. Lowe's in Santa Monica. He was staying there. He's in pre-production on Poetic Justice. And what few people know is he did say it. The reason why Menace got greenlit is because we got Tupac to agree to be in it. Mm-hmm. But when I met with him in person, he says, me and John agreed that I would only star in his films. We're going to be like Scorsese and De Niro. Mm-hmm. And being like that, we felt like we were his filmmaking like team. It broke my heart. But I'm like, okay, like it'll still help us, you playing this smaller role. And I think Dear Mama is the manifestation of what would it have been if we had worked.
Wow. Wow. And that's the quality of it and how good it turned out. It could only be, I feel like spiritually, him smiling on it and totally being with you doing it because of your attention to detail. I feel like a lot of times with Pac, especially with filmmakers, people that do documentaries, it's kind of almost easy. He makes it easy for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's so much to pull from.
That's right.
But you could tell by watching it, you actually did your homework. And your partner, what's his name, who did the editing?
Lasse Yarve.
Who I met at the premiere, who is amazing.
No doubt.
The way y'all wove this together is so special and so dope. But
he wanted me to say hello to you.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Yeah. What's up, man? He's phenomenal.
He gets it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to the beginning of y'all relationship because I didn't even know that you guys did his first 3 videos.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that. And I seen them all, watched them all, but I didn't know that was y'all doing. Talk about Pac in the early days and what it was like to work with him.
Well, you know, when we met him, I met him when we were up in San Francisco to meet Digital Underground and more pointedly, Money B, Raw Fusion. That was our first music video, Money B and DJ Fuse, right? Mm-hmm. But we met at a Waffle House. All of them were I thought we were just coming to meet them, but they were all like a family. Shock G, Tupac was there, but he wasn't famous. Mm-hmm. And I just remember being struck by, he was just roasting everybody. He was just funny as shit, man. I was just taken with him. I didn't know who this kid was. But, you know, it's like people ask me, like, do you know fire is hot when you see fire? Like, you know, like he was pretty apparent, you know, like this dude is, something's going on with this guy. Right. And when we were in the bathroom, he told me he saw our short films. This is before the first day of our first day of our first professional job was the next day for Throw Your Hands in the Air, the music video.
Wow, I seen that video
Raw
too.
Fusion's debut album.
And YouTube that, y'all.
Oh, yeah. You'll see him in the, watch, I'll tell you what happened. In the bathroom, he says, I just signed a record deal. I saw your films. I want you guys to direct my music videos. And I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. But I was so taken with him the next day. I said to him that day, I said, will you be at the music video? He said, yeah. The next day I kept waiting. Where's Tupac? Where's Tupac? Where's Tupac? Because we were doing this little, back then you try to prove you're a director by doing a little dialogue scene at first. Mm-hmm. And I waited for him. And then he got there. I put him right in the center of the scene. You'll see it in the opening of the video. And we started rolling, and the rest is history.
Crazy. How did you guys get into movies? Was it you first? Was it your brother first? Collectively? Mm-hmm. How did that start?
It was both of us at the same time, because I remember 83, the crack epidemic was big. Mm-hmm. Any interest we had in anything, my mother tried to feed that interest because she didn't want us out there experiencing that. The drug dealing was big at the, you know, and like the Adidas jumpsuits and all the stuff that she couldn't afford, but she was becoming an independent businesswoman at the same time.
And y'all in the D during this time?
We was in Pomona, California. Yeah, which is like right out, still L.A. County. Yep. So she rented us a video camera one day, and we stayed up for 24 hours and just shot little mini movies, little spoofs of shows we loved. And then the next summer, she bought a camera for her business. It wasn't ours, and
ended up being yours.
Never came back to her. Yeah,
nice.
And we were me and my brother were equally into. I think I was. No, yeah, you couldn't tell who was the on-camera talent versus the director. We were both doing it all.
Y'all both did it all. And so when it came to actually, you guys got to a point where you started making movies, I was always curious as to who did the writing, who did the directing. Like, how did that work? Because it's 2 of y'all.
Yeah, that was a challenge. You know, it's like you love your Lakers, right? Imagine all them looking to the sidelines and looking at 2 coaches.
Right.
Yeah, it ain't gonna work for long.
I'm not gonna agree on everything.
No, especially brothers, you know. But how we divided the duties was he liked the camera more, and the technical aspects of filmmaking more.
Okay.
I like actors and story more. So on set, I only talk to the actors and he only talks to the DP, but we both had opinions about all of it, right. And that's how it worked until it stopped not working. Started not. It was tough.
I can imagine, man. Because shout out to my brother Shane, man. He's in Minnesota right now with my mom. I could only imagine me and him directing movies together. Boy, what?
This shit is not.
And y'all twins, actually twins.
Yep.
What kind of fun did y'all have in high school being twins?
Maybe more in grammar school where you pull, like I would go in his class, he would go in my class, and
y'all did shit like that.
Oh yeah, and it would always work. You know, in high school,
I look a lot alike.
We do. Yeah. We're meant to be fraternal twins on our birth certificate, but he swears he's very sentimental about the twin thing. I'm not. He swears we're identical. I'm like, man, whatever. I don't want the same placenta as you. I want my own placenta. You know, my own nutrients.
So you talked about it working till it stopped working. When did it stop working?
It stopped working around the time we did From Hell. With Johnny Depp in 2000, summer 2000. Now, it was always volatile. Mm-hmm. And here's where, after From Hell, I couldn't take it anymore. And then you know, this feels so casual. I'm getting ready to reveal some bullshit. And then
It's by design, Alan.
I agreed to do Book of Eli. I wanted to do Book of Eli, and that's where it really got bad. Where we had like separate monitors and everything. Happened to be our biggest hit, and we were at our worst.
Great fucking movie, man. I got to direct Denzel Washington, man.
Oh hell yeah, that was learning a lot.
How do you tell Denzel Washington to do it over?
You don't.
I'm just saying, like, yo, Denzel, it's not working for me. We need you. Nah?
You know what I learned about? It's funny you say that because you, as a director, it's just like a coach or anything else, a producer, a record producer. Like you gotta, as one pimp told me, you gotta pimp on each bitch accordingly.
Okay,
like, it ain't. Everybody's different, you know. So you can't bring what you brought with her to her or with him to him. So Denzel 100%. Was not having it.
Really?
Yeah, he's not having it. Like he's great in pre-production. He's having all of it, all the like he's so collaborative. But once it comes to shooting, he becomes a different dude. So I had to be a Jedi mind master and do energetic things. If I didn't like the take, he's probably the most intelligent person I've ever met in my life. So he could feel it. You don't have to tell him. And we just go again. You know.
Nice.
Yeah, he's
Denzel's not having it.
He's a real star.
Uh-huh.
It reminds me of when I was working with Money B. And I was all fascinated with the DOC, and there was a remix of the Doc and the Doctor video, and the camera was down. He had the Pendleton on. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to mimic that with Money B, and I'm like, move your hands. And Money B's like, why do you always keep telling me to move my hands? God damn it, right? By the time I got to Tupac, which is probably a month later, I never had to tell Tupac anything. You never had to give him one direction. Maybe it was subtle. You never had to tell him anything. Denzel's the same way.
Wow.
Like real true rock stars, you don't really
got
like maybe you go, hey, just bring it down a little bit or take it back up, or you don't have to say shit.
When you first heard Brenda's Got a Baby, like what did you think the trajectory of his career would be? Because that was so out of the norm for that time period.
It was
for a rapper.
No doubt. I wasn't I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I wasn't impressed with him as an artist yet. Like, because he would play his little demos, and if you remember that, he would layer a lot, like stack his vocals, and I was always like, "You got such a great voice,
right?
You know, why are you doing that? You know?" And when we heard Brenda's Got a Baby, wow, it's a story. That was the first thing I noticed. Like, this is a story. Yeah. This lends itself to being visual. It was years later that I realized it's one verse, how unique the song is constructed, how innovative and revolutionary it is just in the nature of what he's talking about and what he's articulating. To this day, they're not like male hip-hop artists that have ever done a track like that. Mm-hmm. So he was way ahead of his time. But the only thing I remember me and my brother reacting to was it was a narrative, and that's what we were starving for.
Right.
And because even at hip-hop at that time, there were more narrative-natured music back then
than it is now.
Is now. But not like that. Yeah. Not like Brenda's Got a Baby.
That was different. Yeah. Who else did y'all listen to? Did y'all listen to hip hop?
Oh hell yeah! Into? I mean, at the time, clearly, I remember everything from Tribe Called Quest to NWA, Compton Most Wanted, loved Quick, DJ Quick.
Absolutely, shout out to Quick.
What else? Everything, not everything that was. We were very West Coast oriented at the time. Who was I talking to about this? So even when Nas dropped, I was slow to get to Nas because of all that he encompasses. We were so gangstered out over on the West Coast. But yeah, those were in the 91, 88, when you think of the DOC, everyone. I'm trying to imagine who was my favorite. Scarface is my favorite, always. Tupac put me on Scarface.
Oh, yeah?
When his name was Action. He was just
DJ
idolizing him already. I was like, who is this? You know,
Pac was a big Face fan.
Yeah,
absolutely. You could tell because he sampled a lot of his music.
Yeah, for Ghetto Boys, all that shit
and whatnot in the early days. Would you do a rap video in 2023?
Fuck no.
No. And why not?
Because there's no there anymore. You know,
see what he did with his hands, y'all.
They're there.
See what he did with his hands. Y'all ain't got enough money to get Allen Hughes to do your video.
By the
So
way, there
don't
are
DM
exceptions. There are
Don't
a
ask
handful of artists out there really.
Of course, if
doing
Dr.
some-
Dre
yeah.
call, who you're good friends with, if
That's
Dre
the last
said,
music-
"Yo, do my next video,"
That's the last music video I did. Him and him. I Need a Doctor.
oh, that's the last video.
Yeah.
That video is crazy with the car crash and
The
shit in it.
real car crash too. That was a real Ferrari.
crashed.
The only time it's ever been done with a real, because usually they put a what do they call it, they put a fake Ferrari on top of a replica body.
okay.
I can't remember what it's called. Even Michael Bay, they always do fake ones. We did a real one.
So y'all crashed the real.
Yep, 280 down the toilet. It's crazy. And,
The angle's right.
and there's only they can only put that much gas in it.
So
Like he's round his corner. Got to put that because it'll blow up.
And who said, "Yo, we got to do a real one"?
Me,
Oh, okay.
because
Yeah.
I was like,
This guy.
you got to feel.
Right.
You got to feel. And Dre offered to go into his own pocket because the budget wasn't going to cover
Mm.
it. I'm like, there's the feeling of that heavy ass. That car is heavy, and all that shit breaking off of it. The feeling of it, we're not going to be able to replicate that with a. I can't remember what the fuck it's called. The model that they use, you know. And when you see the video, you're like, holy shit.
No, I remember seeing that video, and it looked realistic. It looked like,
was all
because
real.
when I watched it, I'm like, damn, I wonder if they really crashed that. That's some hell of a CGI if it ain't.
No, we really crashed it.
Amazing. So, moving on from music to movies, I already said earlier, Dead Presidents was one of my favorite movies of all time. I feel like it's underrated.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel personally when you look back at that movie?
That's all I hear about it, but personally, I look back at it and I just see what we could have done better. As if
Give me
we were-
one thing. I gotta hear this. One thing you could have did better.
When
than
he gets
that.
out of, well, there's two things. One, when he gets out of prison, I think we should have shown his struggle more to find employment or to fit in. Like we should have shown more of a struggle because from it to go from where it went to him just blowing motherfuckers away.
I see what you mean.
That's a
I
little
see what you
extreme.
mean.
And
See what
the
you
other
mean.
thing that Denzel taught me is like, you can't have your hero just get served up like that. When the pimp served him up and Lorenz's character, Anthony never came back to serve him, that's immaturity on our part because that's a scene that should have been there before he went to prison. He should have gone back and just thrown that pimp out a window, beat his pistol, whatever the fuck it was. Those are two big mistakes.
For sure. For sure. That's a classic scene though, man.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I used to love bringing in the groceries.
Jeez, I keep like
It's a classic
we
fucking
wrote that
scene,
for
man.
Clifton. We wrote
Y'all
that
wrote that
we
specifically
wrote it
for
for him.
Clifton Powell.
Yep.
And he got another one in Menace.
Oh, man.
One of my favorites. I don't get up before 2:30 in the morning. Come to this motherfucker this early.
He's something else, ain't he?
Was that ad lib or y'all
That was
wrote
all
that?
ad-lib.
That was all.
That was all-
I knew it. Cause how you gonna write that like that? He felt that in his gut too. Got the
thing that
pick in
pissed
his
me
head
off
and
about that
everything.
scene is it was completely ADR. We had to go re-record it because there was helicopters, and it
Stop it.
never matched. If you saw the raw one when he really did it, it never matched it. It never matched it.
But see, that's the thing about it. We would never know, cause it's to us it's a classic scene.
You know, Scarface, Pacino's 100% ADR looping. He re-recorded every piece of dialogue. in
You
Scarface.
gotta be kidding me.
Because he couldn't nail the accent in the set. So he went and they nailed it and when they re-recorded all his audio.
So none of that shit.
None of it's
Wow.
But see, I learned that with Gary Oldman on the Book of Eli. Some actors are so incredible, they can enhance the performance in what we call ADR, audio digital recording. I don't know why the fuck wasn't always digital.
I'm glad you broke that down for us, Alan, because most of the people watching probably didn't know what that means. But I got it right off the bat.
Looping, they call it looping too. When you go back and there was helicopters or shit happening that day, and you have to go re-record your dialogue in the sound booth with beep, beep, beep. Fuck you, motherfucker. You make it sound like you're really there, right? 100% of Scarface was done that way.
Crazy. See, I would only find that out. You would only find that out by sitting down and chopping it up with Allen Hughes and having a conversation with him. We got to keep this moving right along. So one of my questions, I'm glad you brought up Scarface. I wanted to ask you your top 5 favorite movies all time.
Of all time, they're all typical.
And it can't be any of yours, Alan. Come on.
No,
Alan.
hell
It can't
no.
be
In
any
fact,
of yours.
Mine are at the bottom 1,000 of
Get the fuck
worst
out of
movies of all.
Nah. We ain't going
The one
for
I'm
that.
proud of is
You're being humble, Alan. Come on,
two things
man.
I'm proud of: Brenda's Got a Baby and Defiant Ones. That's it. And now Dear
That's
Mama.
crazy.
That's it.
Yo, Defiant One. Let's talk about. Hold on. That was so fucking.
That was the one.
That was
the
so
one.
dope.
The one thing about I study history, like biographical history, about writers, filmmakers, and attorneys, is you get in your prime in your 40s and 50s. And unfortunately, rock music ain't the same, but writing the pen gets better with time, and the mind gets better with time. So
Quincy Jones did Thriller at 50, right?
Period.
50.
I can give you
Still hope for us, fellas.
straight up. As writers, you get better.
Get better with time. Absolutely.
Raging Bull.
Crazy. Great movie. De
De
Niro gained weight, lost weight. Fucking unbelievable.
Once Upon a Time in America. Sergio Leone, which I still can't make sense of that. And I got a 4.5 hour cut of it, and it still doesn't make fucking sense.
4.5 hour cut of that.
The European cut.
That movie was already 3 hours long.
It was long. Wow, that's a tough one.
Raging Bull, Once Upon a Time in America. That's 2.
That's a tough one. There's a little known film called documentary film called Portrait of Jason, and it's filmed in 67, 68 in a hotel room. One gay guy, black guy, who was watch this shit. You want to see a spirit just bring all kinds of shit to life in front of your face. It's a documentary. One night with this guy, he's getting high. Portrait of Jason. That's another one.
Portrait of Jason. We're gonna go check that out. That's number 3.
God, this is hard.
2 more.
This is hard.
I didn't ask you your top 5 favorite rappers.
That's easy. That's easy. Man, I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna go a little Hollywood right now. Man on Fire.
Fuck yeah.
What?
Man on Fire.
Come on, man.
Man on Fire, yeah.
Hell
I was on that
fucking
when
yeah.
it came out when no one was on it. I saw it 10 times at the movie theaters and brought people with bring tissue boxes because I knew, hey, this is where you're going, you know what I'm saying?
Denzel showed his ass
Yep.
in that motherfucker right
Was
there.
Eva in that movie too? Eva was in that movie.
No,
Nah,
that's Training
she's
Day.
not.
That's Training Day. But that's when he first came out of his box.
Yeah, I used a clip from that. Full disclosure, don't sue me. I used a clip for that before one of my songs. And you know the part where he's like, you know what I'm saying? I've done this, I've done that. But for you, I'm gonna make an exception. Where he's talking about like I'm trying to live another life.
Yeah.
I've done so much shit and I'm not trying to do that anymore. But basically, motherfucker, you brought me out of retirement.
Straight up.
And he goes on a fucking
Straight
spree.
She said, what are you gonna do? He goes, I'm gonna kill them all. Anyone that profited, anyone that looks at me the wrong way, I'm gonna kill them all. Love story though, great love story.
And it's a love story.
It's a love story, unusual.
That's
love story.
4.
5.
Raging Bull, Once Upon a Time in America. Something about Jason.
Portrait of Jason.
Portrait of Jason. Man on Fire.
JFK, Oliver Stone's JFK, the most innovative
JFK.
film of the 20th century. I'm sorry, the latter part of the 20th century. A film where you look at the editing. If you watch JFK, then you'll know what Defiant Ones is, where the godfather of it is. JFK, the editing, the sound design, the acting, outside of Kevin Costner. God bless you, Kevin Costner. But don't do accents, player. And the cast and the lighting and the cinematography.
I gotta go back and watch that. I
JFK
seen
is
that.
ahead of its time.
It's a great movie.
It's ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Still, yep, that's it.
You know why I like that list? Because similar to like hip hop lists, you always got Pac and Big,
That's right.
most top 5.
That's right.
With movies, you always got Godfather or fucking Goodfellas, Scarface. You didn't have any of those in yours, so shout out to you for that list. And it's a movie I never heard of, and I'm gonna go check it out.
Portrait of Jason shows you what one spirit can make you understand about other spirits, especially black soul. Watch this shit. I'm telling you, watch it tonight. Watch it this weekend. Watch that shit.
Will do. So, Alan, with the storied history career that you have and continue to have, what's next on your list? What? Give us something that you haven't given anybody else. That we can look forward to.
You gotta get me in trouble because this is too cozy in here. I'm in trouble with my brother now, all kinds of shit. My mom got and called me. Did you out me? No, not on that show, Mom. Doing. I was meant to do Marvin Gaye the biopic next, and then Tupac came along. We got the script. It's all set up. It's ready to go. It's changing studios right now, but on the way to the bank, Snoop Dogg presented me with this biopic in Universal Pictures. I'm sorry, and I'm like, wait a minute,
His
biopic. There was no script, so we hired the writer, we hired whatever, and I met with the Universal. They're like fast tracking it. They're like, this is their biggest priority. And I said, you know what? First of all, I adore him and his journey, and how far he's come, and how his reach with people, like old people, young people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
8 to 80. I'm
8 to
crippling
80.
crazy. They know who Snoop Dogg is. That's a fact.
People been trying to get me and my brother to do a hood film for years. I said, this is the best way to do a hood film, and it's inspiring, and the music's great.
I see
So
what
let
you
me do
mean.
this right now. That's next.
I see what you mean.
One more movie in my Negro trilogy. Shit.
Damn, I'm so Snoop. Who plays Snoop?
That's the $1 million question.
I always thought this dude right here would have played.
Yeah, he turned it down in the movie.
I know, I heard.
For real?
I heard he turned it down. And
That was smart on his part, though.
absolutely.
Smart on his part.
His answer was spot on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't trying to be you. I'm already Nip. I'm not trying. I'll be Snoop forever. And that's yeah, he'd have been Snoop forever.
Yeah, that's true.
So do y'all go on a hunt for a Snoop? Do y'all?
Oh yeah, we start that this month.
Wow.
May we start hunting for Snoop. He goes, man, watch it be a dude from the UK, man. Watch it be somebody.
The
with
UK dudes is getting all the jobs, man. What'd you think of Snowfall?
Man, I like that show, and my man's is doing this thing. They all are. That's a good show.
DeAndre Bonds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I can't pronounce my man's name. I don't want to fuck up.
Who the dude that played Franklin?
Yeah,
I know Idris is in there somewhere.
it is, and yeah,
It's in there.
I'm not brutalizing that name.
Yeah.
I know he's nice.
Before we get up out of here, we do a segment on our show, and it's called Train War Stories. And I would love to do it with you, but I feel like your Train War story might be something that we've already heard before. But I'm gonna give you a shot at it. Train War Stories, of course, is a Tupac song that the Outlaws were featured on. And for this show, we like our guests to give us a story that maybe wild, maybe crazy, could have been violent, could have been sexual, could have been anything. Anything that somebody who's watching this hasn't heard from you before. And all we ask is that you don't incriminate yourself or anybody else.
Oh, I'll incriminate myself. Fuck that part.
Okay, well, you can incriminate yourself.
Well,
People do it on Vlad TV all the time, and I'm always
Oh, they do
amazed
that. Is it Tupac related or just in general?
by it. Just in general, it doesn't have to be Tupac related, but it can be Tupac related if you would like.
We were in town to do Trapped, his first music video.
Okay.
I can still see the hotel on, I think it's on Beverly. It was in West Hollywood, and
I did that video in L.A.
yeah, we shot it
Okay.
in L.A. for Oakland, right? And
That's crazy. I thought it was filmed in Oakland.
me and
I
my brother
obviously
Tupac,
wasn't
I
there
can't
that
remember
day.
who was part of his crew at the time. We're all in the same hotel. We're up at the roof smoking weed. It's hip hop. It's hip hop. Like I don't know what someone said something that seemed a little homophobic. I guess I don't know what it was. Right? We were just talking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, did they usher us the fuck out that hotel very quickly. Right? And then we get to the other hotel that we're staying in, right? By the way, we were just loud black boys talking. I don't even think that we were saying anything.
Right.
Smoking weed.
Mhm.
But the excuse to get us the fuck out of that hotel
Yeah.
was that we get to the other hotel, we all check in, and Tupac had that little Gumby cut at the time,
Uh-huh.
And I get this knock at my door at, I don't know, must have been midnight. And I open the door, and whoever it is just rushes me and tackles me on the bed, is just laughing like a drunk laugh, going crazy. I push him off of me. It's Tupac. He had just shaved his head for the first time. And he's mad and insecure about it, you can tell. He's drunk. And I didn't know at the time, because it did look like a dusty peanut at first. It didn't. He kind of grew into he grew into his head. He really did, because he used to wear caps all the time after that, right? But it was the first time, it was like before the first day of shooting a Trapped. I can't remember what he was a little emotional about something. That's why he was drinking. And that's when he took the hair off. And it was just, hilarious to me.
Clean shaven.
It's hilarious to me.
Becoming a
Not
trademark.
quite a real war story, but
Nah, that's one right there that Pac fans would love. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a period in his life where he had hair, and then he didn't have hair. You know what I'm saying? All through Juice, he's got this flat top and shit.
a lot of
And then a lot of people didn't know. You know what I'm saying? That ironically, alopecia, you know what I'm saying, due to stress and other things in his life was the reason why he started losing his hair, and he eventually cut it off.
That's one thing I want to thank you for in the film. Has it been out yet? Because you drilled down on it a little bit about the mental health aspect of that journey and our journey.
Yeah.
And the way you put it, no one had put it that way about him in particular taking a break. If you had to look back, you would have wished you would say, "Hey, take a break."
Yeah.
And when you look at
1,000%.
the whole journey of all 5 parts, which knowing him as you knew better than anyone, you can't. It's hard to put it into even 5 parts, right?
Yeah.
But looking at all 5 parts, when you said that, it hit my heart because it's the reason why I did it. I wanted to talk about mental health. I wanted to talk about Black trauma. I wanted to talk about PTSD in the Black community. These are things that in the 90s, there were no words for, So that's a big deal. And a lot of us suffer in different ways.
Yeah.
Tupac ain't the only one. He just had his own particular set
He
of,
just had to suffer in front of everybody.
and he did.
You know what I'm saying? And that's really what you got a chance to witness. And a lot of people, great art comes from suffering. We know that. You know what I'm saying? So we appreciate the art and everything. But the other shit, you know what I'm saying? That's somebody clearly, suffering. You know what I mean? And needing help. And at the time, that shit was like speaking French to us. Somebody would have said, go get some therapy. Yo, Pac, you need to go get therapy. You need to talk to a therapist.
Straight up.
Yeah.
I was doing an interview with the Hollywood Reporter this morning, and the woman was really moved by when Tanya Hart in the film says at the end of the interview, "God bless you. Thank you. You're a really special young man." Mm-hmm. She says, "I wonder if Tupac heard that in his life." I said, "I know he heard that in his life. It didn't matter at a certain point when you come from where he comes from. It doesn't matter how many people tell you you're special and that you're blessed if you haven't reconciled or there's no one to talk to about this shit. And you talk to your homeboys, and he lived his life out loud. Like you said, he wasn't. I've been telling everybody what made him special was he was available to whatever emotion he was in, which is unique as a man, let alone a Black man, and a hip hop motherfucker. Right? So he was a trailblazer in that regard.
Yeah, and I think Bill William Lassane said it in a method actor. You know what I'm saying? And so, in the same vein as a Robert De Niro or Al Pacino, you know what I mean? Like, could be in character at any moment.
It's deep, and I didn't know we were going to go. You're talking about a war story. It's not a behind it's one that we all know. I think that Tupac was ultimately a pure artist first, before the recording artist, before the actor, before the poetry, which is pure art. He's a pure artist, and he has a pure artist soul. And when you go to the method part of that, right, that's almost an empath. You could take on anything like that, right? And I don't think people realize that his greatest, I don't think he was aware that he was a performance artist. Like that whole thing, that means your whole life is your art. And was quite literally painting it in his own blood all the way up until the end. So
I actually would disagree with that. I think he did.
You think he did?
You know what I'm saying? Because it's just times that I can point to where I knew for a fact, case in point, when he got shot in New York, and they wheeling him out, and he throws the middle finger up.
He definitely is aware of that shit.
One of the most self-aware people that I've ever met, then and now, actually was aware of the moment.
The famous stretcher one? But
that was not an accident, because we talked about it afterwards. Right. And he laughed. He said, "I see I threw up thug life on their motherfucking ass on the stretcher with bullet holes in me." You know what I mean? This is him laughing.
Listen, it's funny because I like that you disagree with that, because I go, is that part of because he's a storyteller. He's a myth maker, right? And the thing about the Black Panthers that I think he got directly from is they understood iconography. They understood image. And one of Tupac's favorite guys too, Bruce Lee, understood image. right?
Yeah.
So it's funny. You said the performance artist. You're right. You're
I
right.
mean, absolutely, dude was very aware in those moments, especially the high intense moments, the moments when it's fucking going down. You know what I'm saying? He would get calm.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? He would get calm. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't speak about this a lot. I don't speak about Vegas a lot, but I'll just say this: even in Vegas, even after he was shot, calm,
Wow.
calm.
Wow. That's
And if you
tough.
talk to the first officer who walked up to him, what did Tupac say to him?
Fuck you.
So, moving right along.
Perfect timing, my friend.
Moving right
You
along.
must be a recording artist.
Yeah. Dear Mama is out and about. By the time you guys see this, it'll be done. All 5 episodes will be out
On Hulu.
on Hulu and FX.
Yeah.
I noticed you said Brenda's Got a Baby and The Defiant Ones are your 2 favorites, but where would Dear Mama rank up now? You've seen it all.
Yeah.
You've seen the whole thing.
I
We
think
haven't.
it's got to be more meaning. Listen, I always say
Because
that-
the fans are loving you right now, Alan.
I
You're
appreciate
back in the Tupac fans' good graces after this, man. How does it feel?
the fact that I'm sitting with you is a good sign.
100%.
It's a good sign for
100%.
me.
Because look, they'll lynch me too. They don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? They,
Oh,
you
they
know.
ain't no joke. And
I had to make sure they liked the shit before I had you on the show, Al. I'm gonna be honest. Nah, but I mean,
That's true. No,
I would have had you on the show anyway. They know I don't give a fuck. But at the same time, it is great.
yeah.
And the Tupac loyalists and fan base and even newer fans are liking it. I think I just seen something on Twitter that said his music streamed some higher
man.
since Dear Mama's
going
been out.
crazy in all the categories. It's going crazy.
It's going crazy
And
right
I knew
now.
it would because the thing that I took away and only happened in the last couple months is a deep compassion for him now, which I just don't think I had before.
Mhm.
Oh man, the compassion has to do with understanding and the empathy. Not just the sympathy, like just really connect. I find myself we're doing color sessions or we're doing the music. The sound mixing, and I'm crying in front of everybody. Like certain things he's saying or he's doing or his mother's saying or doing, and because I understand now. So I look at when I did Defiant Ones, and you see we did all these innovative things that were all like organic too. They weren't no gimmicks. It was like producing a rock record, like a highly produced rock record. This one was like producing a blues record with some punk rock, undertows or whatever you want to call it. Like it's punk rock and blues, so it's more soulful, it's more meaningful, and I think it's more purposeful, like in its intent. So I'm seeing the reaction, and I'm appreciating that more than anything because I wish I had more time on Dear Mama. I always wish I had more time to like perfect certain things. But I go, man, I know what I wanted to perfect. I go, well, maybe that's too much because already it's too dense. It's a lot of mutating. I call it jokingly call it a mutating musical mosaic. So I think it's a lot to digest. So maybe it's best I just walked away from it when I did.
Yeah, I could see that because it is heavy. It is heavy. And ironically, the day we're filming this, his mother transitioned, I believe 7 years ago today. Rest in peace to Afeni Shakur, a woman that I knew all my life since I was a little boy. You know what I mean? Faye's presence is hard to bring to light to people that didn't know her. You know what I mean? You would have to have known her to really know what I'm talking about. But I will say that I think the reason why Dear Mama is just gonna sit above all the other Tupac material out there is because of how you went in depth into his mother's story, which a lot of people really didn't know. It was kind of glanced over. Oh, Pac's mom was a Black Panther.
That's right.
And then people kept it moving. And it was deeper than that.
And they talk about the addiction too,
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunate that she got defined by that.
Right.
And
Exactly.
she is the reason why I did the film. I mean, one was I wanted to understand him, but two was like, here's this. First of all, they erase black people from history left, right, and center.
Facts.
They erased women like a motherfucker.
Even faster.
So imagine being a black woman. She got erased from history. And you see what she did and what she stood for and what she fought for and how off the charts ahead of her time intelligent she was too. And all that stuff you love about Tupac, you see in her, you know. I never had the blessing of ever meeting her, but I got to feel her through the journey of this film. And it's fitting that today was the 7th anniversary. That's a nice number too.
Yeah.
And she, when you look at social media, oh man, it warms my heart that people like,
yeah,
feeling her, feeling her, and she's gonna be on the Mount Rushmore of civil rights warriors, social justice.
Because she absolutely should. You know what I mean? Absolutely should. And then before we end, also what was dope or is dope about it is that Pac's father is discussed. Now I wanted to ask you a question because I got a phone call from somebody today who had a question for me that I couldn't answer. Is Pac's dad alive or not? Because when you look at it, it looks like that's new footage y'all got of him.
This is crazy. The internet, and if you Google, it says he died in 99.
Right.
He's alive.
Billy Garland is alive. I met Billy Garland in New York around that time when he was shot. I met Billy Garland, and immediately you knew.
Oh, you could see it.
It was immediate.
You could see it.
But Billy Garland is alive.
He's alive and well, although I just found out today that Tupac's, one of his half-sisters just passed away, and he's dealing with that right now on this day.
Wow, our condolences. Did not know that.
And no, that was while we were making it, we're like, wow, he's alive?
Get the fuck out of here.
He hasn't declared himself more or whatever, but God bless him, you know?
Yeah.
He's
Billy Garland is alive, man. Wow, man. If I had more time, I would have more questions because I do. But we got to wrap it up, man. This has already been epic. Great conversation, man. Thanks for pulling up. Alan Hughes, ladies and gentlemen, the Outlaw Show.
This motherfucker.
Never gon' settle. All I do is get better. All I do is get cheddar. Pulling up, blowing pressure. Outlaw forever.